Two brothers, one black BMW, one old pickup. Everyone in Maplewood thought they knew which one had won. Everyone was wrong. Ryan Collins was 24 when he got on the bus and left. George Collins was 22 when he stood at the curb and waved goodbye. 10 years later, Ryan came back in a black BMW. George was standing at the door with the same old pickup truck. Ryan stepped out, pulled his sunglasses down, and looked at the truck. "You still have this thing? Still runs?" Ryan laughed and hugged his brother, but neither of them said what they were actually thinking. Ryan's wedding was held at the finest venue in town. Bob, the bakery owner, found George near the door. "Your brother's really something, isn't he, George?" "Yeah. George, you're 32. "You're getting old, son." That same night, Ryan took the stage, grabbed the microphone, and told everyone that he loved this town, but a man had to think bigger. Everyone applauded. George clapped too, but his mind was somewhere else. Outside the hall, before the ceremony, a woman had been sitting alone on a bench. Brown hair, simple dress, a glass of water in her hand. He hadn't seen her in 10 years. Diane Murphy. Diane had come back because her marriage in Chicago had fallen apart. After the ceremony, he found her, sat beside her, said nothing. Diane later said it was that silence that started everything. Years passed and Maplewood stayed where it was. Every time Ryan came back, he had something new. First the BMW, then a watch, shoes that gleamed. Always something. George, without any fuss, transferred $1,200 to an account every month, an account he never touched. His garage was small but debt-free. His life was simple but light. One day their mother said, "George, I wish you took better care of yourself." George set his teacup down. "Mom, I am taking care of myself. Nobody just sees it." That spring, George and Diane got married in a small ceremony. 20 people, a simple garden, homemade food. Ryan didn't come. Their mother sighed. "Ryan has a lot going on." George said, "I know." But the Chicago real estate market had been quietly trembling. First, Ryan's calls grew less frequent. Then, when he did call, his voice sounded different. One night he called and said he had a big investment lined up, just needed a partner. George asked how much. Ryan told him. George said no. "No, I'm your brother." "Exactly." Ryan hung up. 2 weeks passed without a word. Late that fall, George was working under an old Ford when he heard a familiar sound outside. Black BMW. Ryan climbed out. But something was different this time. The car was dirty. Ryan was too. Not the kind of dirty that comes from oil and grease. A different kind. Just came to say hi. George slid out from under the car and looked at his brother. "Let's go home." That night, they sat on the front porch steps. Ryan talked about the weather, then went quiet. George waited. "Some deals didn't go the way I planned." "I know." Ryan turned to look at him. "How long have you known?" "Since the night you called looking for a partner." Silence. Then everything poured out. The house that was in his name but belonged to the bank. The BMW payments 3 months behind. "If you could give me a small loan, I could—" "No." Ryan froze. "No? If I give you money, you'll be back here in 2 months. Same problem, just a little bigger." Ryan stood up, took a step toward his car. Stopped. "Then what?" Ryan's voice was broken. "My garage needs someone. The pay's decent, not great. The back house is empty, no rent. You've got 6 months to start over." Ryan turned and stared at him. "You want me to work in your garage?" "Yeah." "George, I know." Ryan looked up at the sky. The stars didn't care. "What if I say no? You go back to Chicago. You know what comes next." A long pause. And if I say yes, what do you think happens?
I think for the first time in 10 years, you sleep through the night.
Ryan was quiet. Why do you live like this? You could afford more. George glanced at his old pickup. Every dollar you don't spend on looking rich is a dollar working for you instead. That's how I keep it. Ryan came in late at first. Then, slowly, something shifted. He learned that engines talk, if you listen. One day, a brand new Cadillac pulled in. Ryan slid out from under a different car, glanced at the Cadillac, and slid back under. George saw it, said nothing. Late one night, George saw Ryan in the back room with a notepad full of numbers. "What are you doing?" "Calculating what happens if I put $500 aside every month for 10 years. George smiled, came back with a book, and set it on the table. "This will help." Ryan looked at the cover. "Thanks. Don't mention it." When spring came, Ryan sold the BMW. He showed up to work in a used Honda. That evening, George came home and told Diane, today was the first time he didn't compliment a customer's car. A year later, Ryan stood in the middle of the garage and said he wanted to go back to Chicago. But this time it was different. "I have a job offer, accounting for a small company, half the pay I used to make, but I have no debt. I can cover rent on a small apartment." "Take it." Ryan reached out his hand. George took it, then pulled him into a hug, heavier than 10 years ago.
Before Ryan left, 2 cars sat side by side in the garage lot.
George's old pickup and Ryan's used Honda.
Bob the baker walked by and looked them over. "What happened to that BMW?" Ryan tossed his Honda key in the air and caught it. "Sold it, because my brother taught me something." Bob looked puzzled. "What?" George said, "Nothing important, Bob. Go bake your bread." Bob walked off. The 2 brothers laughed. In Maplewood, like everywhere else, the things that matter most can't be explained. They can only be lived.